All right, good morning, folks. It's 10 o'clock here. I know that the previous committee went a little long, and I said to Mira that that was fine. So I don't know if staff has had time to clean the room and get things up and going. So we might need to wait a minute or two more to get this committee meeting up and going.
Stacy, this is Kathy. So we are not up and running yet.
Perfect. Okay, everybody, refill your coffee, turn off your cameras, and we'll give them a few minutes to get things up and going before we get started.
Stacy, we should be good to go.
Great. Thanks so much, Kathy. And thanks for the quick turnaround. Sorry, the previous committee ran a little long. Okay, folks, it is 10:05. I'm going to call today's Public Safety and Health Committee to order now that we've got all the technical things up and running. If you could join us, that'd be great. Kathy, could you put the participation screen up? That would be great. We are still continuing to meet virtually, but there are still plenty of ways for the public to participate in this particular committee meeting, all of our committee meetings, and our Monday night council meetings. The best way to do that is to go to the city's website, www.ci.missoula.mt.us/webcast. That's where you'll find all the upcoming meeting agendas. There will also be options for folks to comment on items that are still open to the public to comment. You will also find the council email to send all of us on city council an email if you'd like. That's council@ci.missoula.mt.us. And if you would like to avoid anything to do with a computer, you could always give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 406-552-6012, and that gets sent out to all members of city council once you leave that voicemail. This committee meeting, all of our committee meetings and city council meetings are broadcast live on our YouTube channel, as well as cable Spectrum TV channel 190. So while we continue to keep our community safe, there are plenty of ways for the community to engage with us on council. With that, Kathy, if you wouldn't mind calling roll for our committee meeting today.
Stacy Henderson,
Present.
John Contos,
Here.
Bertha Becerra,
Present.
Heather Harp,
Here.
Jordan Hess,
He was going to be a couple minutes late.
Gwen Jones,
Here.
Julie Merritt,
Present.
Jesse Ramos,
Present.
Amber Sherrill, Sandra Vasika, Brian Von Lossberg,
Here.
Heidi West.
Here.
So we have 3 absent.
Great, thanks so much. I do know Jordan will be joining us and eventually. So, okay, folks, we do have approval of minutes from our last committee meeting, which was the 21st, when we approved the mayor to sign the agreement for the final phase of the Catlin project. Is there any changes or to those minutes? All right, seeing none, those minutes will stand approved. All right, we will take public comment if anybody who is attending this meeting would like to provide public comment. You can just go ahead and raise your hand and we can call on you. If you're dialing in on your phone, you can press *9. I do see one member of the public. They do not seem to be signaling that they're raising their hand to provide public comment. So we will move on to our 2 agenda items today. First up, we have Assistant Fire Chief Brad Davis, who will give a quick presentation on our yearly resolution to deal with surplus fire equipment. AC Davis, the floor is yours. And it does appear, Kathy, just for the record, that Amber Sherrill has joined us.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm having difficulty starting my video for some reason. So if it's okay with you, I'll just continue on with audio. I'm Brad Davis,
fine.
Assistant Fire Chief, Missoula Fire Department. In our resolution before you today, we have, I believe, 4 items that have served their useful life for the fire department that we would like to declare surplus, so we can move forward with the sale or disposal of said items. And if you guys have any questions of the items listed, I do have our master mechanic Eric Petroff here present. He can help answer any questions about the useful life or the condition of the equipment that we are trying to surplus.
Thanks so much, AC Davis. On the referral on the agenda, I don't actually see the items listed. So if you would just really quickly just list them out, that would be great.
Oh, my apologies. I thought they were on the referral. We have a 2000 Ford F450 that was used as a Type 6 wildland engine. That is just the chassis, I believe, that we are surplusing. We have a 2007 Dodge Ram 1500. That particular pickup was our old battalion chief pickup. We kept it for some various wildland use. The engine in that pickup is no longer operable. So I'm not sure what value that has left in it. It did serve a good life as a battalion chief operation command rig for us for several years. We have a 2002 Pierce Saber, which is a Type 1 fire truck. That's our standard big red fire truck that you guys see buzzing around town all the time. And then we have a flatbed pump and tank setup that was a cast foam system that we took off, and we reused the chassis that pump was on and made that another Type 6 wildland grass fire engine. And that was actually part of that. We did some moving around, and that actually saved us quite a bit of money by reusing that pickup chassis and frame to build, to put a type 6 on, and then also to build another type 6. So we actually came out quite a bit ahead on that move. So those are the 4 items that we are listing as surplus today.
Great, thank you so much. Definitely sounds like you've got all the use and then some out of these particular vehicles, which we appreciate you being as creative as possible to get the money as best use out of them. So any questions or comments from council members? I do need a motion to adopt a resolution to allow the fire department to surplus these vehicles. Miss Cheryl.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Great, thanks so much. Would the public like to comment on the motion to allow the fire department to surplus these 4 particular pieces of equipment? Okay, seeing none. All right, we do have a motion on the floor. Kathy, if you could take a quick roll call vote, that would be great.
Stacy Anderson,
Yes.
John Contos,
Yes.
Bertha Becerra,
Yes.
Heather Harp,
Yes.
Gwen Jones,
Yes.
Julie Merritt,
Yes.
Jesse Ramos,
Yes.
Amber Cheryl,
Yes.
Brian Von Lossberg,
Yes.
Heidi West.
Yes.
Ten yeses.
Great, thanks so much. Thanks for all that you do, AC Davis. We'll let you get back to your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right, folks, our second item on the agenda today is from Dale Bickle, and I think that Terry might be here from the municipal court. We heard this item as an informational item only a couple weeks ago about the fact that we, due to the passage of some legislation at the state, have to change how we deal with municipal court judges here in Missoula. And so we are having to change around some language and amend Title II of City Municipal Code. So we have a presentation from Dale Bickle about how we need to go about making sure that we are in compliance with state law. Dale, are you here?
I am here. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, council members. Here before you today is the ordinance to implement SB 127, which requires us to have all of our judges elected. As you recall, a couple of weeks ago, had an informational item to talk about the letter the mayor sent to the elections office requesting 2 new judge positions be put on the ballot for the 2021 municipal election. And so Mr. Nugent, who's with us today, drafted ordinance for us. I'm going to go through a short PowerPoint. This is just an addition. I just added additional slides to the original PowerPoint that we used last week. And also note that Tina Reinecke from Municipal Court, our Municipal Court Administrator, is also here. And presumably you are seeing my screen. And I'm just gonna fast forward. All these slides are from the last presentation. And just skip right over to the ordinance, but we can go back and answer any questions about those. So in our, as you can see, the actual ordinance is attached to the referral. It is a simple 1-pager. We talked about maybe some things that we could do at the informational meeting related to the ordinance, excuse me. However, MCA is particularly strict, or it lays out what exactly we're supposed to do in this area. So we don't vary from that very much at all related to staggering terms, implementation, or anything like that. So simply put, this ordinance establishes 3 judges, departments 1, the existing department 1, 2, and 3, effective for January 3rd, 2022. which would be the swearing in day for new municipal elected officials. The ordinance sets procedures for the chief judge selection. MCA provides that judges select among themselves. They are to agree, and we're specifying the ordinance and we're specifying that if two judges don't agree, then the chief judge is the one with the most seniority. The seniority aspect is in law as well. By ordinance, because all of these judge terms will be at the same time, we're requesting an ordinance to implement that seniority language in the MCA. Is that we would determine that this ordinance would determine that the judge with the most votes in the preceding city election would be the chief judge. And the ordinance then goes on to talk about the duties of the chief judge, which are important here, and these are also in the MCA. So maintains the central court docket, requests jurors, and supervisors court personnel administration. So that's a big role for the chief judge. So it's important that that we have procedures to establish that judge, and it's clear who that is. And then finally, this is the calendar related to the ordinance. So today's committee discussion, asking council to set a public hearing on Monday, which should constitute first reading for the ordinance. May 17th would be the public hearing. And then I see I left a bullet on there from the preceding slide by mistake. Sorry about that. But with that, that's the end of my presentation. And Jim, Tina, or I would be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks so much for that. Let's see, Tina, do you have anything that you would like to add for the?
Just to city administration, thank you for doing all this hard work. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Okay, Tina, it looks like you're, joining us from someplace very exciting, your background.
Isn't it? It makes me feel very special to be in a high.
Great. Okay. Well, I do see some members of the council queuing up for questions, so we'll go to those right now. Ms. Jones.
Thanks for all the work on this, and it's a shift in a new direction, and it's probably a good thing, I think, given that the workload of our municipal courts. So I appreciate the quickness with which this has been set up to be on the ballot. Just a couple of points. First of all, the chief judge, although they have additional duties, they do not necessarily have any extra compensation for them. Is that correct?
The statute doesn't lay out any additional compensation, and I'm actually not sure related to elected officials' pay whether we would be able to do that. Jim, do you know that?
I agree with Dale. The state law doesn't say anything. I suppose you could have the position have a little extra money. It would rotate probably over the years. Especially that's the intent of the statute, is they intend for it to rotate. And I think Dale has indicated that the district court judges have some sort of system set up where they do rotate by year, and there's now 5 of them. But there's nothing that would prohibit it. There's nothing that even addresses it. Like Dale said, the statutes are silent.
Thanks for that follow-up, Madam Chair.
Yes, that's fine.
Thanks. I was just noting that, and I don't know that we necessarily should have extra compensation. I just at least wanted to kind of flag that issue so people could digest it a little bit. I think as with city council or these elected positions, this is service. So you're not doing it for the money necessarily. Sometimes it helps having a little extra incentive, but I'm thinking, although these are additional duties for the chief justice, for the chief judge, I don't know that there necessarily has to be extra compensation. However, I do see that kind of intertwined with, as it's noted in the proposed ordinance, the fact that the judges can, select a time period, I think it is, for the chief judge to serve for. And I'm wondering, I don't want to make an amendment or propose this, but maybe staff could chew on this a little bit. I'm wondering if we should just set it that every 2 years they nominate and elect a new chief judge, because on one hand, you want a period of time so that whoever's in charge creates some continuity. However, also, if there's a lot of extra duties and they're not getting any extra compensation, maybe every 2 years having to revisit. And if the person loves doing it and they're up for it, great. But otherwise, they pass the baton a little bit. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there for some thoughts, some discussion, and that's what I'm thinking at this point.
Great, thanks, Ms. Jones. I see Mr. Nugent has his hand up. Would you, did you want to respond to that, Jim?
Yes, in state law, in subsection 3-6-201, subsection 4I, it says that the municipal court judges are to select a chief municipal court judge at the beginning of each calendar year. So the state law expects them to be working on that or making a selection each calendar year. So it sounds like it's probably the first Monday of every January is the most logical time.
Great. Thank you. That information helps.
Great, thanks so much. Moving on, we have Ms. Merritt.
Hi, thanks. I think those questions that Gwen had are good ones. There's some logic to, if you have increased responsibility, maybe you should get some additional compensation. So I think that's a good conversation to have. I, though, had just a question for Dale. The last thing that you said was that there was, that you were showing a calendar of how this was going to play out, and that's not what I was seeing on the screen. Can you put that last slide up again? I just want to make sure I understood. Okay, excellent.
It was just simply the calendar of the council process for adopting the ordinance with my copy of the bullet from the previous slide.
Okay, thank you. I think maybe my screen was frozen or something. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much. I have a question in regards to, I realize that we're having to react very quickly to this, given what the legislature did. I see that within the filing right now, there is 3 judges positions. Is there any sort of, is that just they self-select and they are all elected citywide? Like, so if you wanted to run, you could just decide whatever, judge 1, judge 2, judge 3. There's any other parameters on?
That's a great question, Stacy, if I could address that one. When the mayor sent his letter over there, we called the municipal court judge positions Department 1, Department 2, and Department 3. However, when it got initially on the, when Missoula County set it up for filing it said District 1, District 2, and District 3. And Tina asked them to correct that, but it did show up in the media that way, and which kind of connotates that there may be a geographic split between them, but no, there is not. They are all elected citywide, these judge positions, and so hopefully that department issue gets clarified. And each one files for a particular department. So department, the person who filed to run in Department 1 will run in that seat, and each one is individual. So they're just separate elected positions.
Okay, great, good. Thanks for that clarification. I think that you were right. It did sort of, with county commissioners, they run in districts. So wanted to make sure that we clarified that. So, okay, Miss West.
So I have a question around ending up with staggered terms. Is that something that's going to happen in the future so we don't end up with 3 newbie judges at the same time over and over again, potentially?
I think we talked about this quite a bit, and I do not believe that's going to happen. We've got what we've got due to what the legislature did.
Yeah, the path to be able to do that would be a legislative change in the future.
Okay, thank you. I know, I mean, it obviously wasn't in the ordinance, so thank you.
Okay, Miss Jones.
Thanks. Going back to the compensation for chief judge position, again, to revisit that, Tina, do you have an estimate of, with these duties for the chief judge, what that means, for example, in percentage of workload, or can you give us a sense of what does this mean?
So I have worked for Judge Jinks for a decade. That's how long she and I have been together. So it really will depend upon who is elected the chief judge. Judge Jinks is a very hands-off administrative judge. I orchestrate the paper dance, as I say. I run the court. Judge Jinks makes the legal decisions. She tells me what she wants her document sets to look like, how compliance is monitored and tracked, and is very hands-off, which is beautiful for a court administrator. If it was a judge exactly like Judge Jinks, I do not think it would be a very onerous task. If that person is a different kind of judge, then could be a bigger task.
Thank you. And follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if Tina or Dale or Jim, I'm thinking there must be other jurisdictions that already have numerous municipal judges, and if there are any other examples in Missoula or in Montana where the chief judge is paid additional, that might be a nice reference point for us to analyze this issue.
I would be happy to reach out to Bozeman. Bozeman would be although their volume is much less than ours, the city of Billings has used one elected official with more than a handful of judges handling the tasks. So it's one reason we've never really been able to be compared to Billings, that they run so differently. So I'm happy, though, to reach out to Bozeman and get the answer to that question.
Great. If you could just send an email sharing that, I think that'd be helpful. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Great. Thanks so much. Well, it's interesting to note, Tina, that this probably affects how Billings is going to have to do things. They are going to be in a similar situation as us in now having to move to all elected municipal court judges. My question is around staffing. Tina, you do the paper dance for one judge. What are we doing about 3 judges now in terms of staffing? Because it's not only bringing those folks full-time and all of the stuff that comes with that. I would imagine there's going to now just be an increase in staff work as well.
That's a great question. Actually, I do work for 3 judges right now. The way it works is we have 2 courtrooms running full-time every day. Judge Jinks is on the bench all day in Department 1. Department 2 is shared by 2 other judges. The reason that we say Department 2 is shared is because every judge needs time off the bench. That's when they study their cases, they create opinions, or rulings, they consider petitions for orders of protection. And so the difference is we have operated under a judicial philosophy of how sentencing occurs in this court and the things that judges take into consideration. That doesn't mean that the other 2 judges that work with Judge Jinks are not full judges under the state of Montana with rights and responsibilities of any judge. So judges do indeed rule as they wish, and so the clerks, we do respond to 3 judges right now. The difference, the challenge in what's coming is if we get 3 elected officials with very different ideas of what a misdemeanor court does or what offenses matter or don't matter. So we're hoping is that the new elected officials see that they have a very solid team in place, because that is indeed how we approach everything, as an efficient and competent team. And we hope to build that trust in right away, that they trust the team in place. We do anticipate that we definitely will need 3 more staff bringing on another judge, because the judge will need their own judge clerk and then a floater for that position. Did that answer your question?
It most certainly did. Thank you so much. We might have to put you in the same category as Marty. You can never leave. Okay, great. Well, I see no further questions. Didn't know if the public wanted to also comment on this. So we are setting, make sure that I've got this right. We are setting a first reading. So let's see, preliminary adoption of an ordinance. I do believe we need a motion to set that in motion. Too many motions in that. Ms. Jones.
I'm happy to make the recommended motion.
Great, thanks so much. So we are making a motion to set the public hearing for May 17th to move forward with this ordinance. Kathy, would you mind taking a roll call vote?
Certainly. Stacy Anderson,
Yes.
John Contos,
Yes.
Martha Becerra,
Yes.
Heather Harp,
Yes.
Gwen Jones,
Yes.
Julie Merritt,
Yes.
Jesse Ramos,
Yes.
Amber Sherrill,
Yes.
Brian Von Lossberg,
Yes.
Heidi West.
Yes.
We have 10 yeses.
Great, thank you so much. Dale, Tina, Jim, anything else on this topic before we adjourn?
Thank you.
Nope. Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody. Once again, public safety and health is efficient and ending on before the end of our time. So with that, we will adjourn and see you all at our next committee meeting at 11 o'clock, which is land use and planning. Thanks so much. Have a great day.